Step one, I admit that I'm powerless over alcohol and that my life has become unmanageable by me. The life that's unmanageable, when I first came in, like I said, I wrote my 20 reasons why my life was unmanageable for my first sponsor. And we checked off that task. I did my task. I did my 20 reasons, and they all had to do with alcohol. And it took me a while to realize that I have problems other than alcohol. Drunk or sober, I have the same mind that we talked about yesterday. I have alcoholism. I have an unsatisfiable, selfish, self-centered, fault-finding, opinionated mind. That's who I am. I'm also His Majesty the baby with the infantile ego. And I'm self-obsessed. I'm all I ever think about. And that's a painful way to live because nothing ever goes my way. And people don't act like I'm the king. They all act like they're the king. So there's a lot of unruliness in my kingdom. And so I'm constantly restless, irritable, and discontented. And so in the first step, in the 12 and 12, the first line in the 12 and 12, it says, who cares to admit complete defeat? And I read that like a story. Who cares? I don't care. And then it agrees with me. The book agrees with me. Practically no one, of course, right? Every natural instinct in me, every natural instinct cries out against personal powerlessness. So that's how I read it. I read it like a story, and I read it like it was your story. And I'm just a passerby at AA. This really isn't my life because I'm much more healthy than most of you. It says that in the second step, but we'll get to that later. So who cares to admit complete defeat? My sponsor said, okay, we're going to do this as a way of life now. So what does complete defeat mean? What would that look like in your life? What would it mean if you admitted complete defeat? See, I admitted alcohol defeat, no problem. Alcohol had defeated me. I can never, ever drink alcohol successfully again. I know that. But complete defeat, that's a different story. And so I had to look and ask myself that question, what would complete defeat look like? What would that mean? As a way of life. As a way of life, right? So if I was a complete defeat, that would be like if I was a quadriplegic, right? And I couldn't do anything. It's complete. So if I need a glass of water, I got to ask for help for a glass of water. Could somebody help me with a glass of water? If I need to move down the hall, I got to ask somebody to help me move down the hall. Everything complete. And that's kind of what this is saying. Now, I'm not a quadriplegic, but I'm a mental quadriplegic because I can't do anything on my own and be at peace. When I go to get my mail, if I go by myself to get my mail and I open the mailbox up and there's a letter from the IRS. You guys don't have an IRS. What do you have here for the tax collector? The IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. I see that and I go crazy. I'm going to jail today. Look, the letter's here. They found out. They found me. And then I freak out about that letter and I put it aside and I don't open it. I just freak out about it and it sits there. And it drives me crazy every day that I walk by it. And then finally I get the courage to open the letter. And I open the damn letter and it's a refund. And I've been going crazy for days, avoiding that. Oh my God, what do they want? They're going to want all my records. I'm a complete, like I talked about yesterday, I'm a complete defeat at driving my car. I can get usually from one part of town to the other. I can get there, but on the way there, I want to kill people. I have murderous thoughts. I'm very uncomfortable. I have to pray a lot. I'm a complete defeat at being a husband. Complete. I promise you, it's complete. If my wife was here right now, she would be raising her hand and agreeing. On my own power, I do not know how to be a good husband. I don't know how to, I don't know how to want to do the dishes. I don't know how anybody wants to do dishes. It's just not possible. I mean, I come home from work and I want to sit on the couch and watch a football game. My wife comes home from work and she makes dinner. And then I think, and then she wants me to want to do the dishes. And I want to watch TV. And I'm thinking, in my head, here's how the conversation goes. You know, if I knew I was going to have to do the dishes, I would have gone out for dinner. She wanted to make dinner, she should do the dishes. That's a mind. That's a mind that has it's a little warped. There's something wrong with me. I find that in every area of my life. I'm a complete defeat at being at peace anywhere in my life. And so that's the first sentence in the 12 and 12. You could go so deep. How deep could you go at looking at how deep could I go looking at my life at where I'm a complete defeat? As a way of life. Now, this isn't to be depressing. This is because I have to know something about myself. I got to know who I am. I've got to know what I'm treating. Because if you're just here to treat alcohol, God bless you. Don't drink one day at a time. Go to a meeting every day, and your life should be fantastic. Everything is going to work out. Eventually, you're going to get all the girls, the money, the house, everything you ever wanted. Just don't drink one day at a time, and it's going to work out. And I know guys that have had that experience, that their lives have worked out. It's not my experience. My experience is I don't drink one day at a time, and eventually I want to kill myself or somebody else. Because the disease tells me that this is not right. Whatever this is, doesn't even matter. One of the greatest sentences in this book is that my admission of personal powerlessness, turns out to be the firm bedrock upon which a happy and purposeful life can be built. The admission that I'm a complete defeat is the thing that makes it possible for me to go forward in the program. So I have to look at that as a way of life for my life. It's not an agreeing step. There's a living that has to go on here. I have to know in my life that I'm a complete defeat. Now, I say that, and this isn't defeatism, okay? I'm not a complete defeat. Like I said, I can get my car across town. I can show up at work, and some days I can work like an hour out of the 8 that I'm supposed to. I can produce a good hour that I'm not talking to myself about how I should be in a different job or somewhere else the whole time I'm supposed to be working or looking at stuff on eBay. I can manage to get enough work done to trick them into thinking that I actually work here, right? But it's a far cry from being present and being available and being a real worker and being a real husband and being a real father and being a real courteous driver out on the roads. It says here that, it says we know, but I'm going to say I know that little good can come to any alcoholic like myself who joins AA unless I first accept my devastating weakness and all of its consequences. This is as a way of life. I used to think my devastating weakness was that I can't drink. I can't drink alcohol. Because when I drink it, I break out in, fights and lost jobs and broken cars and all that kind of stuff. But my devastating weakness is what we talked about yesterday, my mind. My mind. The disease centers in my mind. Until I so humble myself, my sobriety, if any, will be precarious. Of real happiness, I'll know none at all. With years of sobriety, I knew very little happiness. Different, right? It's different to be happy right now in this moment, sitting in this room, to have a happiness like I'm just happy to be here. Nothing's good or bad happening. I'm just happy. And not even happy, just at peace. There's just a peace that I get to have today because of living this as a way of life. And having had that great meditation this morning and being in a room full of people that are like-minded, going in the same direction, I get to have some peace. If I don't know what's wrong with me, if I don't know what the disease is, the only happiness I have is the happiness of, oh, I got a big paycheck today. Woohoo! Or I got a new car. And that makes me happy until they send me the first lease payment. And then I think, why the hell did I need this new car? It's not making me happy anymore. Now I have to pay for it. I hate this car. I got to get rid of this car. When first challenged to admit it, it talks about complete defeat 3 times in the first page of the 12 and 12. So I think it's kind of important to admit it, right? It says this, it says, proved beyond doubt by an immense experience, this is one of the facts of AA life. When I read that, I thought, AA life? AA. So before AA, I had Randy's life. We know how that went. Today, I get to have an AA life. It's a different life. It's a new life. It's a new way of life. It's the AA way of life, where my admission of personal powerlessness turns out to be the firm bedrock upon which a happy and purposeful life can be built. This is completely the opposite of what I was taught. AA goes contrary to everything I know and that I tell myself, right? The early bird gets the worm. You got to work hard. If you work hard, you're going to get what you want. And those kind of things that I was taught growing up, that doesn't work with admitting complete defeat. How do you do that? How do you make those two things work? But as an alcoholic with alcoholism, I get to practice an inner spirit of complete defeat. I still work. I go early. I work harder than I ever worked before when I have a job. I'm more committed. I'm more focused. I'm more available because I admit complete defeat, not in spite of it. And then it actually says the principle. So people always ask, what are the principles? It says the principle that I shall find no enduring strength until I first admit complete defeat is the main taproot from which our whole society is sprung and flowered. So complete defeat over and over and over again. It must be important. And so I really had to take a look at that for my life. And that's really what step 1 is about. So with the description of alcoholism, the spirit of complete defeat as a way of life right now, Power, I don't know how to sit in a room and listen. Could you help me? Could you help me be a good listener? Could you help me think of a question or two to add to the room? Could you help me to be here and listen as a way of life so that I'm not talking to myself? Because the other conversation is, it's too crowded in here. It's too noisy in here. The seats are all squeaking. I don't like the person I'm sitting next to. Why did I get this seat? How come I'm in the back? I'm not in the front. That's what it sounds like if I don't ask for help. And it never stops. It never goes away. My mind never shuts up. I should say this. Primetime is amazing. It's an amazing way to approach the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous with this really understanding the disease side. What happens at first is, for me, what happened at first was I went a little crazier after hearing the Primetime message. Because what happened was they shined the light on my mind and how my mind works and how it talks to me all the time. I wasn't aware of that was alcoholism before. I just thought everyone was like that. And all of a sudden, they turn the lights on, and here's this crazy mind that won't shut up, that won't stop talking to me, that won't stop trying to run my life. And for the first time now, I'm starting to become aware of it, and I'm hearing it, and it's nonstop. It never stops. It's always talking to me. It always has an opinion. It always is fault-finding. It's always unsatisfied as a way of life. And so when you turn the lights on, it gets a little scary because the mental illness is like front and center. And in step 1, there's no treatment. There's just the acknowledgement of it. So when I get to the end of step 1, it says, in step 1, it talks about the allergy. I'm not going to talk about the allergy. If you drink, you know about the allergy. If I ever drink again, I take one drink of alcohol, It's on. There's no stopping. I quit smoking when I was 19 years old, before I got sober. I know today, no doubt in my mind, if I have one drag and I inhale it completely into my lungs, I'm smoking a pack today. No doubt. I quit coffee when I had 18 years of sobriety. Coffee is the one thing that reminds me every day to pray, because I cannot not drink coffee. I love coffee. I love it. My wife makes a pot every morning and I smell it and I say, God, you're going to have to help me not drink a cup of coffee today. I'm going to drink it if you don't help me. And that's the way that my life is now today. All the things that used to drive me crazy now are the things that remind me to go to the power. So, and then at the end of step 1, it says something. It says, why all this insistence that every AA must hit bottom first? And I have to hit, this is an emotional bottom we're talking about. This is the bottom of seeing my mind and how it really works and who I really am as an alcoholic with alcoholism. I'm hitting an emotional bottom. If you're still hitting your alcohol bottom and you're craving alcohol today, you know, the only thing that worked for me was, God, could you please help me not drink today? And I said that all day, every day for 8 months. And then one day, it was like someone pulled a bad tooth. It was just over. I can't even explain it. It's not possible that I don't drink alcohol today. It's not possible. I'm an alcoholic. I drink everything. I drink if it's good. I drink if it's bad. I drink because it's raining or it's sunny. I don't care. It's a day. I'm awake. I'm drinking. Because life is too painful with my mind. But it says, why do I have to hit a bottom? The answer is that few people will sincerely try to practice AA's program unless they have hit bottom. Who's going to look at complete defeat as a way of life unless I'm crushed? Unless I look around and I think, man, I can't have a relationship with another human being. I have to do something. I'm crushed. I can't keep a job. I can't live life successfully, drunk or sober, successfully enough to make me satisfied enough to not be prey to misery and depression, right? Sober. Practicing AA's remaining 11 steps means the adoption of attitudes and actions which almost no alcoholic like myself who is still, it says drinking, but I'm going to say thinking, can dream of taking. Who wishes to be rigorously honest and tolerant? Who wishes to confess my sins to another and make restitution for harms done? Who cares? Do I care anything about a higher power, let alone meditation and prayer? Who wants to sacrifice time and energy in trying to carry AA's message to the next sufferer? No, the average alcoholic like myself, self-centered in the extreme, I don't care for this prospect. Unless I have to do these things in order to stay alive myself. So I do this because I need to do this to stay alive. And if I can get to a place of admitting complete defeat, then I'm at the place, here's where I end up at the end of step 1. I stand ready to do anything which will lift my merciless obsession from me. My merciless obsession today is not alcohol. My merciless obsession is to be self-satisfied. It's to have the right girl and the right car and the right house and the right job and to have it all at the same time, right? Because having the right girl means my car sucks. And having the right girl and the right car means where I live sucks. And it just keeps moving. And it'll just always find something, one thing that I can say isn't right and is killing me. And when I get to the place where I stand ready to do anything which will lift my merciless obsession, then I'm ready to do step 2.